Kunja Bihare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Nanavalabha Girivarulante
Gopi Jana
Gopi Nanavalabha Girivarulante
Gopi Jana
Sudananda Prajajana Ranjana Sudananda Prajajana Munatira Manachare Yamunatira Manachare Jaya Rangu Madhura Kunya Bihari Jaya Rangu Madhura Kunya Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravachosa also Cheta Sitashi Shivad His Divine Grace Sabaya Chalana the Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagadaswami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrindigajai Gaur Premananda Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Pastaya Budale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pasyacha Deja Tarne. So today we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 24th chapter, text 35, and this is about to go over downhill. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay. Krishna's
to
Anyatamam Rupam Gopal Visrambanam Gata Shailo Asmiti Guruvan Buri Valim Adad Brahad Vapu Krishna's Twanyatamam Rupam Gopa Vishrambanam Gopa Vishrambanam Gata Shailo Smiti Bruvan Buri Limadad Brahad Vapu Krishna's Twanyatam Hang Rupam Gopa Vishrambanangata Shailo Smriti Rubhan Buri Malimmadad Brahad Vapu Krishna's Twanyatam Hang Rupam Gopa Vishrambanangata Shailo Smriti Brahman Bhuri Malimmadan Brahad Vapu. Okay.
Krishnastvanyatamang rupam
Gopa
Gopa Vishrambhanam Gataha Shailo Smiti Pruvan Bhuri Balimadad Brihad Vapuhu
Krishnastam anyatam rupam
Krishnastvanyatamang rupam
Gopa Vishwaram Bhanam
Gopa Vishrambhanam Gataha
Sailo Smritim Bhuvan Bhuri
Shailo Smiti Pruvan Bhuri
Bali Mada Brihad Vapu
Balimadad Brihad
Krishnastvanyatamam rupam
Krishnastam anyatam rupam
Gopa Vishrambanam Gataha
Gopa Vishwaram Bhanam Gataha
Shailo Smiti Bhuvan Bhuri
Shailo Smritim Bhuvan Bhuri
Malimnada Brihad Vapu
Bali Mada Brihad Vapu
Krishna's Anyatamam Rupam.
Krishnastam Anyatam Rupam
Vishramhanam Gata.
Gopa Vishramhanam Gata
Shailam Smiti Bhuruvan Bhuri.
Shaila Sriti Bhuvan Bhuri
Balim Adat Brihad Vapu.
Bali Madhar Brihad Vapu
Krishnastanantamam rupam
Krishnastam Anyatam Rupam
Gopo Vishambhanam Gataha
Gopa Vishramhanam Gata
Shailashmiti Bruhan Bhuri
Shaila Sriti Bhuvan Bhuri
Balim Adat Brihat Vapuhu
Bali Madhar Brihad Vapu
Okay. Krishna,
Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
two, and
and then
Anyatamam,
Anyatamam,
another,
another,
Rupam,
Rupam,
transcendental form,
transcendental form,
Gopa
Gopa
Vishramana,
Vishwanambana,
for generating the faith of the cowards,
for generating the faith of the cowards.
Gata,
Gata,
assume,
assume,
Shaila,
Shaila,
the mountain,
the mountain,
Asmi,
Asmin,
I am,
I am,
Iti,
Iti,
these words,
these words,
Pruvan,
Bhuvan,
saying,
saying,
Puri,
Puri,
abundance,
abundance,
Balim,
Balim,
the offerings,
the offerings,
Adat,
Adat,
he devoured,
he devoured,
Rahat Vapu,
Rahat Vapu,
in his huge form.
in his huge form.
So, translation Krishna then assumed an unprecedented huge form to instill faith in the coward men. Declaring, I am Govardhan Mountain, he ate the abundant offerings. So, purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Actually, this is by the followers of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada didn't go this far. In chapter 24 of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada writes, when everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he himself was Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. The followers of the Krishna conscious movement may therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. Sri Prabhupada actually gives permission here. Lord Krishna had induced the residents of Vrindavan to assume a significant risk on his behalf. He convinced them to neglect a sacrifice to what is, after all, the powerful government of the universe, and to worship a hill called Govardhan instead. The coward community did all this simply out of love for Krishna. And now, to convince them that their decision was correct, Lord Krishna appeared in an unprecedented, huge transcendental form and demonstrated that he himself was Govardhan Hill. So again, the verse, Krishna's tvanyatamang rupam gopa vishrambanam gata shoilosmiti bruvan bhure padimadad brahadvapu. So omagana timidandashat Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shigurvai Namaha. So, this is the wonderful story of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill and saving the residents of Vrindavan and worshipping Govardhan Hill. This is my favorite story in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, because I worship Govardhan and I live at Govardhan. People ask me, where do you live? And I say, I live in Govardhan. I was talking to some Gujarati people yesterday, and they said, where's your home? I said, Govardhan. They said, you don't look like you're born in India. So that's all right. So, of course. So anyway, so there's this whole controversy between devotees sometimes that how should we worship Govardhan? Some devotees say that Govardhan is the best servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And some people say he's God. And so there's this really controversy, big controversy between the two groups of devotees, and they argue with each other and beat each other up, just to prove their point. Well, actually, both things are true. Because if we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his multifarious expansions, we see that all the expansions of Krishna are servants of Krishna. For example, Balaram. Balaram is serving Krishna as what? The Singasana, his Brahman thread, the sitting place, the temple, everything. These are all Balaram's potencies in ways of serving Krishna. And then we have, of course, Lord Ram. And Lord Ram is served by Lakshman. And Lakshman is inseparable from Lord Ram. But he's also non-different from Lord Ram. Advaita Chuta Nadam Nadir Anantarupamajam Puranam Purusham Navayavanam Cha. There's one God. It's not that we say, we worship Ram, and then there's another God, Lakshman, another God Bharat, another God Shatrughna, another God Vishnu, another God Nrsimha, another God Varaha, another God here, another God there, everywhere God. Anyway, so it's not like that. They're all the same person, as we mentioned many times before, but just in a different mood. So when Krishna has a slightly different mood, he serves himself. Isn't it? So he's serving himself. What's the problem? But he's also God, and there's no difference between Govardhan and Krishna. And there's difference and no difference, but they're the same person in a different mood. He's serving himself. Interesting. So that's the point. So you can worship Govardhan in either mood. You can either put a peacock feather on him, or you can give him a plow, if you like. Actually, we see some devotees, including me, worship Govardhan, because Govardhan, I worship my Govardhan Chilas as Radha and Krishna. Oh my God, what's happening there? Because Krishna can assume the mood of Srimati Radharani, just like he does in the case of Sri Chaitanya. No, thank you. Just like he does in the case of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And some devotees worship, like if you go to the ashram at Govardhan, that Tamal Krishna Maharaj established, then you have Krishna Balaram Govardhan Shilas. So you see, non-different. So you can worship. I don't think you could worship Govardhan in the mood of Nrsimhadev, though. I would not do that. However, in Jagannath Puri, they worship Lord Jagannath in the mood of Lord Nrsimhadev. Sometimes. They have these vases, there's different dresses as Lord Nrsimhadev. It's interesting, isn't it?
We also put it over here.
You do that too?
Yeah, on Lord Nrsimha's appearance.
You dress Lord Jagannath?
Yeah, and we put another No. The Hativesh is different.
Hati is elephant. Hati is elephant. That's a little bit different. So there's a Hati Vesh also. That's a different thing. So it's interesting. You can approach the Lord in that way. However, please do not do that with Radha and Krishna. There was one temple in ISKCON where they actually did that with the Radha and Krishna deities. Completely inappropriate. Radha and Krishna is such a high understanding that we don't change that mood. When Krishna is with Radharani, We do not change that mood. We don't dress Krishna and say now he's Narayan. Although we worship him in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, in the mood of awe and reverence, but we don't dress him and put an Antashesha under Krishna on the altar and have him lying there and put Radharani at his feet, massaging his feet. You have to be very careful with Radha and Krishna worship. But with Lord Jagannath, you can do that. And even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes assumes different forms of incarnations. Like when the devotees were chanting the prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so ferocious, he was running around Mayapur, frightening all the devotees. And he thought, this is not the mood of my reincarnation, of my incarnation right now. So he changed back to normal Maho Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Order to say to Maha. So anyway, Govardhan can assume different moods. That's the point I was making. Now, as far as this story is concerned about Govardhan, it's very interesting. It starts with Nanda Maharaj and the coward men wanting to perform the Indra Puja. In other words, worship the demigods like many of you from Fiji like to do. Not you all, but these Fiji wallas. One of the most difficult things that we have to deal with when we go to Fiji is they're all like that. Altar has like hundreds of people. Just like even nowadays, I go. Krishna Chandra has me go to people's homes, and the altar is just like all the demigods. Millions and millions of demigods on the altar. It's just like they have to have 2 or 3 altars just to accommodate them all. And so people are very attached to worship. Why are they attached to worshiping the demigods? Kamais-tasta ritigyana prapajantena devata, because they have some desire like that. Therefore, they approach the demigods. And so they don't want to take a chance about offending any of them. So they just put a whole bunch on the altar. And then devotees in Fiji, whenever they join the movement, if they happen to get sick, their parents say, see, you didn't worship Ganesh, you didn't worship Durga, you didn't worship Lord Shiva, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you just chanting Hare Krishna, you rascal. So that chapter of the Bhagavatam is meant to dissuade people from worshiping demigods. And actually in the Gita also, Krishna, he says, those who are kamais-tasta ritigyana prapajante devata, he says, those are stupid, basically, Krishna says. Those who've lost their intelligence, they worship the demigods. If they haven't learned that lesson, they read the Bhagavatam and hear this particular story of Govardhan Puja. And so you may be thinking, here's another point. You may be thinking, all right, I don't worship the demigods, I worship Krishna. But you may be worshiping Krishna in the mood of karma mimamsa, just trying to get something from Krishna, or ritualistic. Actually, when the people worship the demigods, it's not that they worship with devotion. Oh, Lakshmi, I love you. I just want to serve you, Lakshmi. Like yesterday, everyone was worshiping Lakshmi. It's a difficult day for sannyasis because nobody gives a donation because they have this whole superstition that if I give a donation or if I spend any money today, then the rest of the year all the money will pour out. Isn't that?
Yes.
They're thinking like that. So he went to one house and they went to Krishna Chandra and said, Krishna Chandra, we apologize, we're not going to be able to give Gurudev anything. Tomorrow we'll give him something, right? And he said, it's all right. So I think we could take an IOU or something. And so anyway, so there's this fruitive mood, approaching the demigods for something. It's not bhakti. And so many times people approach Krishna the same way. It's not bhakti. Bhakti means anyavi lashata shunyam yana karma navratam anukuyena krishnadushilaram bhakti uttamam. Simply wanting to please Krishna, not having any gross desires or subtle material desires. That's Krishna consciousness. That's bhakti. So, anyway, so many of us fall under this illusion too, because we're approaching Krishna for something mundane, or we're worshiping Krishna because we're afraid of what Krishna may do if we don't worship him. Or we're being niyamagraha, ritualistic. You like Nanda Maharaj, he explained to Krishna. Krishna says, what are you doing? He said, this is, tradition. It's our tradition. No understanding, of course the pastimes, not criticizing Nanda Maharaj, but no understanding why he is doing what he's doing. It's just tradition. So most religious people are like that. It's just tradition. Why are you doing it? Tradition. What's the significance? I don't know. What do you put on tilak? I don't know. It's our tradition. Why do you wear a sika? I don't know. Tradition. I mean, many things are traditional. But we should understand what their purpose is in connecting us with Krishna. That's the important thing. So Nanda Maharaj really at least didn't indicate that he had any understanding, except that it's just meant to bribe Indra. Indra sends down the rain, and then you bribe him. Thank you, here's your cut. It's like Kamsa was the same way. Kamsa had to receive a certain portion of the milk products and the produce of the residents of Vrindavan, so they would send it to him regularly. See, even he liked milk. It's interesting, isn't it? And ghee. Only demons don't like ghee and milk. They cook in oil. Only demons. Even Kamsa cooked in ghee. They didn't have canola oil at that time. Prabhupada said ghee is, like I said many times, ghee is for the inside, oil for the outside. So anyway, so that's what Nanda Maharaj was thinking. We have to pay taxes to Indra. He sends the rain is giving us the grains, and then we can live very nicely. It's a thanks. Actually, you find that in almost every culture, that there's a Thanksgiving at the harvest time. Somehow or other, I remember the culture I was brought up in, there was a ceremony was called Sukkot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to try to introduce you to the Jewish religion. Where we'd all sit and drink wine in a harvest festival. And thank God. Thank you for sending all these nice things, which is good. It's better than nothing. So we were thanking God, but Nanda Maharaj was thanking the demigod. So I'm not saying it was better than Nanda Maharaj. Anyway, but he didn't drink wine. So Nanda Maharaj, he said to Krishna, this is a traditional festival, Indra sends down rains. And Krishna said, basically preaching something called the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. Karma Mimamsa philosophy means if you cross your T's and check and dot your I's. You know what that means? Anyway, if you follow the rules, then the demigods or whoever, even if there is God, they have to give you good results. It's something like mechanism, a mechanistic philosophy. For example, if Tilakini goes in the kitchen, she follows a recipe, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. It comes out well. And if you don't follow a recipe, just do it spontaneously, you don't know what's going to come out of the kitchen. So Karma Mimamsa means you follow exactly the procedure. That's called karma mimamsa. It's one of the darshans, the Vedic darshans. There's uttara mimamsa, karma, purva mimamsa. It's purva mimamsa. Uttara mimamsa is Vedanta, but karma mimamsa is ritualism, basically. And many devotees approach Krishna consciousness like that. If I just take my, I don't have my bead bag here, but if I just take my bead bag out and move my beads and mouth the Hare Krishna mantra, 16 rounds, then I'm going to become a pure devotee. No, it's Nimagraha. So it's not exactly karma mimamsa, but it's very similar to karma mimamsa, ritualistic behavior, Nimagraha. So basically, Krishna said the demigods, they just have to do what they're told if we follow the rules. Everything's under the jurisdiction of, the Dharma controls everything. You follow the Dharma, then everything, not spiritual Dharma, material Dharma, then everything is taken care of. Nandamara says this, and Krishna presents this philosophy, bogus philosophy. And he sort of convinces Nanda Maharaj, it's not a good idea to worship the demigods. It's a waste of time. So why don't you worship Govardhan? Because Govardhan provides us with everything. The grass, the cows eat the grass like Govardhan, the nice streams and everything. Govardhan used to have so many streams coming down the side, like rivulets coming down the side. Very nice. And so Krishna somehow or other convinces the coward men to do that. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And then Krishna talks about offering the anakut ceremony to Govardhan. Anakut means you have piles and piles and piles of grains. Rice and pizza and all sorts of stuff. No, sorry. And all sorts of grains you pile around Govardhan. Actually, many years when I've been at Govardhan during the Kartik ceremony, Kartik month, we do this Anakut ceremony. We have the devotees come from South India, from Tirupati. Many of my friends from Tirupati, all the brahmacharis come, and they range this gigantic hill of food right in front of Govardhan, and then I do the arti. They let me do the arti and do the offering. It's pretty amazing. And that Anakut ceremony is done right in today, the village of Anyor. Anyor means basically, give me more, give me more. And so what happens is that when Krishna is eating in this gigantic form, this is being described here, he's eating all these grains and foodstuffs and sweets, halva, whatever. And he eats everything. And he says, Anyor, give me more. And everyone's getting real nervous because he's gigantic. You got this gigantic Krishna in front of you. He's hungry. What else is he going to eat? You get nervous. And so they figure out you offer a little tulsi leaf. And when they offer the tulsi leaf, Krishna's satisfied. And, and they're also circumambulating Govardhan Hill, everything like that. All right, so fast forward after worshiping Govardhan Hill, which is described here, then our friend Indra gets really angry because he doesn't get his prophet adoration distinction. Oh my God, I don't know if I should tell this story. Anyway, so oh no. So anyway, I remember someone who had a lot of false ego, not anymore, but he had a lot of false ego. And he had the position of guru. He would say sometimes, I'm not leaving my room until everyone's chanting my name. So we have this ego, So it's not that Indra needs the offering so much, but he wants this, prophet adoration distinction, which is actually subtle sex life. It's true. Prabhupada said this. Prophet adoration distinction is subtle sex life, where you want to be worshipped. You want to be people to praise you. And it's quite dangerous when one has a position in spiritual life, like guru or something like that. People praise you, and then you become addicted to it. Where's my feet washing today? You know, like we're going around to everyone's house, and this is a culture. So they my feet, Abhishek, whatever you call it. And sometimes yesterday there was saffron, saffron water. And I was thinking, this is so expensive. Saffron's the most expensive spice. It's like, oh my God. It's like gold. It's gold. So then after a while you go to someone's house, you say, hey, you stick your feet out, you take your socks, so you're preemptive, like that. Are you going to bathe my feet? And if they don't bathe your feet, you get angry with them. Oh, it's never happened with me. I actually think, do I have to do this again? Yeah, if they bathe my feet too many times, they don't dry them properly, I'll get athlete's feet. Anyway, this is going on my mind. But it's addictive. People worship you. People say nice things about you. People write a book about you every year. People have a big birthday party. It's better than being a kid. I remember when I was a kid, here's your 4th birthday party, and all your friends come out and you get balloons and a big cake. Everybody's singing happy birthday to you. But you become a guru. It was like, wow, I got it made. I got a giant birthday party. I mean, this year, how many people came to my birthday? 400 people. Wow. I'm in ecstasy. No, you got to sit and listen to it the whole way. Anyway. So Indra's like that too. He doesn't really need the ingredients so much from some coward people. He has plenty of other people, rich people that worship him. Here's some coward people, who are they? Vaishyas, some isolated place, Vrindavan. Right? They're not significant to Indra. And, Indra considers, they're taking the advice of their puny little friends. That's from the Krishna book. Krishna. Who is this Krishna? Puny guy, giving them advice. We're going to teach him a lesson to worship me. Bow down, mister. Anyway, so therefore, Indra gets really upset because they've worshipped Govardhan Hill, and he sends down torrents of rain along with calls for his clouds, Samvartaka cloud, which he utilizes at the cosmic dissolution time. And, it's basically Vrindavan's going to be flooded, people are going to die, and the residents of Vrindavan, they only have one recourse, and that recourse is to approach Krishna. And Krishna just calmly walks under Govardhan Hill, picks it up, pinky of his left hand. He says, come on, come under. It's interesting, and they, for a week they're there. So it's interesting, in the Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Karnapur, it's described that under Govardhan Hill, generally we see a picture like Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill and they're all just standing there. That under Govardhan Hill, there's all sorts of valleys and rivulets. If anyone reads the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, it's really amazing. I did a narration on it. And just so everything is there. Valleys, mountains, everything under Govardhan Hill. And so they're actually enjoying life under Govardhan Hill, according to Kavi Karnapur. And of course, Krishna, while he's lifting Govardhan Hill, some of the residents are thinking, he's getting a little tired, let me help him, holding their sticks up. And even Krishna makes them nervous because he starts to tremble a little bit, but that's because he's looking around him. Because he's tired. That shows by pure devotion, one can bewilder Krishna's mind. and especially Radharani was the topmost devotee. She's able to bewilder Krishna's mind. Krishna keeps looking at her, and he wants to avoid Balaram seeing that he's looking at her. Anyway, so many stories occur. And then after Govardhan was, after the rain, Indra realizes he made a big mistake. Krishna puts down Govardhan, and there's a whole part of the Bhagavatam in which Indra is apologizing to Krishna for attempting to kill him and the residents of Vrindavan. Incredible story. So, maybe we'll keep it short. So, any questions about Govardhan? I mean, I could give many classes about, the parikrama around Govardhan and bring it and take devotees around. Of course, Govardhan is shaped like a peacock, and the two eyes of the peacock are Radhakund and Shaimakund. And then there's the tail of Govardhan, and the tail of Govardhan, all the incarnations of Krishna exist. Lord Nrsingadev's there's a beautiful temple to Lord Nrsingadev, Ugra Nrsinga, at the tail of Govardhan. And many of the deities in Vrindavan and Govardhan were installed by Brajanava, Krishna's great-grandson. And many of them were moved to Jaipur or Udaipur in different places to escape the Mughals. But around Govardhan, there's a few of the original deities. The Nrsingadev deity is one of the original deities. And if you go into the town of Anur, you'll find Krishna and Balaram deities. Very few people know about this. The original deities. Balaram is very big. Dauji, Balaraj ki jai. And then Krishna is very small. You've been at that temple with me. Any of you been at the temple? Most people don't know about it. You have to go into Anur, and it's a family is taking care of you. You have to wake them up to do the deity worship. Essentially, they have ladies taking care of the deities. Some people say, ladies can't do deity worship, but they're right in Govardhan. They have the ladies. And it's beautiful, tall Krishna. Actually, Balaram, sorry, almost as tall as me. Anyone here seen that? I have pictures of him. I mean, I could do a whole slideshow. But anyway, and Krishna's this small, and it's this black stone. Bhadra stone. It's called the Bhadra stone from Brajanath. And anyway, beautiful deities like that. And they won't let you take a picture. What's that? You have to come with us to go over that. Promise you just go without me. You went with me one time, yeah. She went with me one time. So, anyway, so many nice things around Govardhan. Dangati, the tax pastimes occurred there, where Krishna was extracting tax from the gopis, and they had a big fight. The gopis agreed to come back the next day and pay the taxes, but instead they came back with 10 million gopis, overpowered Krishna, tied him to a tree, and beat him and the coward boys, so many nice stories around Govardhan. So, any questions or comments about these points?
Good.
Yeah.
We also hear that during Treta Yuga, it was Hanuman when he was lifting a.
Yeah, that's one
So
story.
is it the same? Is it?
There's several stories about Govardhan's, appearance on the Earth planet. The two most famous stories are one, when Hanuman was assisting Lord Ramchandra, he saw this big hill, and he wanted to take it to assist Lord Ramchandra. And then when he was over Braj, he heard the sound from Lord Ramchandra, the voice. We have enough stones already. Just put him down here. There's one story. And then there's this story about the sage. I forget the sage's name. Maybe Pulasya, who was living in Kashi, and he was thinking, I need a mountain here. So he went and he got Govardhan, and Govardhan said basically that I'll go with you, but if you put me down anywhere, I'm going to stay. And Pulasya Muni thought, that's a good deal. And so then Govardhan I guess uses mystic power or something like that, to have Palastri Muni want to have a call of nature, looking at you. And so he put Govardhan down. Govardhan refused to leave, and therefore Govardhan was cursed by this sage to shrink to the size by the size of a mustard seed each day. And so Govardhan is gradually decreasing in size. I've seen that since I started going to Govardhan. He's actually increased quite a bit. And so that's as another story why Govardhan is shrinking. Another story concerning Govardhan shrinking is that he's feeling so much separation from Krishna after Krishna left the planet that he's shrinking. So that's another Govardhan story. Okay, any other stories or any other questions? Questions? Yes, doctor.
Gurudev, what's the difference between profit, adoration, distinction, and appreciation?
Okay.
Is there
Okay, read my book. So anyway, appreciation means basically to state what someone did specifically and how it contributed to your life, Krishna consciousness, or whatever. That doesn't make one proud. Like if someone says to me, you made this point about in class about Govardhan and Krishna being non-different and also Govardhan being the servant of Krishna, and I finally understood it after all these years. That's appreciation. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, polite stuff, thank you, please, thank you. That's the first thing we learned when I was a young kid. Magic words, please and thank you. Anyone's learning those things? No. In India, you don't learn those things. Thank you. You say thank you to someone and they go, what's that? You don't have to thank me. So basically, that's the point of appreciation. Actually, we want appreciation. It makes me more enthusiastic to serve Krishna. If someone appreciates some way that I explain things, some way I help them in devotional service, some way I help them solve their problems, whatever. Yeah, that's great. Because I'm contributing something. If you don't know you're contributing something, it's like book distribution. Thank you for distributing so many books. As long as one understands, it was Krishna who empowered me to do that. But it's really satisfying to feel that Krishna is using me as an instrument. Someone says to me, you haven't done a damn thing for Krishna over the last 50 years. That's very discouraging. It's not going to make me humble. It's going to make me depressed. You're useless, you're hopeless, you're worthless. That doesn't help someone. Worthless, hopeless, helpless, yes. But by Krishna's mercy, so that's one way one can take something like the Vyasa Puja or appreciation. That's appreciation. But if someone says to me, you are so wonderful, you have lotus feet. First of all, did I make these feet? What right do I have to have someone praise my feet? We accept it, it's etiquette, whatever. Lotus feet, Lotus feet, Someone says, Gumarsh, you came from the spiritual world. Oh yeah. Tell me all about it. If that's a spiritual world, I ain't going back there. So that's praise rather than appreciation. You understand? And that really, he who praises me is my enemy, who chastises me. But chastising is not just being cruel to someone, it's correcting someone. I appreciate that. If someone says, oh, you made this mistake, would you rather do it that way? You'd be more successful. That you appreciate that. So appreciation is very important. That gives us energy for serving Krishna. That's why we have these book distribution competitions, who distributes the most books. That's appreciation. It's wonderful. It's actually wonderful because you're encouraging people. You contributed, as long as you take it the right way, you contribute something substantial to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And Prabhupada actually did that when he was dealing with people. He appreciated them. Like, I remember one letter Prabhupada wrote. Actually, the letter, I think it's in my book. Prabhupada wrote a letter, I'm very pleased that you did this Rath Yatra and so many people came to the Rath Yatra. So, appreciation. And then Prabhupada coupled appreciation with an order. Next year you should do something bigger. Prabhupada did that with book distribution too. He said you should double it. Said, oh yeah. And Prabhupada very much encourages us, that whoever distributes the most books, I will go and stay in that temple. So we had this whole competition. Where would Prabhupada stay? And then when we distributed the most books, Prabhupada said, next year you double it. I says, oh my God, we're not going to send out results to Prabhupada anymore. High expectations. But Prabhupada appreciated that. And so that's good. But praise doesn't encourage you. It actually makes you prouder. You got lotus eyes, lotus feet, you're so wonderful, you can't be beat. Anyway, what's the use of such a thing? And actually, if you praise someone for qualities, or even appreciate for qualities that they don't have or haven't yet manifested, that's an insult. That's brought forth in the Bhagavatam. When the sages and the reciters were praising Prithu Maharaj before he did anything, he said, it's not appropriate. It's an insult. You praise someone when they haven't done anything. But in any case, it's how you take it. A devotee doesn't want to be adored. You talk about profit, adoration, distinction. A devotee doesn't want any profit for himself. Just like, let's say if I go around people's homes and they give me a little something, I'm not thinking, goody, I can buy a new Tesla next year. I understand. It belongs to Krishna. Prabhupada said, like they distribute books, all the money belongs to Krishna. If you develop a fruitive mentality, that I'm going to distribute books, but I get to keep, 50% of the profit or something like that, then it's not so good for your Krishna consciousness. Or if you're doing devotional service, like Prabhupada said, getting a salary, Prabhupada said the only result you get from it is the salary, not bhakti. So basically, profit, devotee should not be interested in profit, making anything, except for pleasing Krishna. That's our only desire, to please Krishna, rather than, I'm doing devotional service. Or, like we mentioned many times before, someone will sponsor something in the temple and they want to see their name in lights. We had someone who sponsored the Singasana. He wanted his name right in the front of the Singasana so everyone could see, instead of Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Shri Sam Patel. Anyway, so, that wasn't his name. He was Punjabi, he wasn't Gujarati. So, it's just like, that's profit, and adoration. Distinction. Distinction means I'm better than you. So if you think yourself, like if I'm sitting here and I think myself better than any of these devotees here, that's sex life. It's just sex life. What can I say, And it's not legal sex life. It's illicit. Sorry. Of course, not breaking the principles. But it will lead to that because you're thinking yourself better. So I'm sitting here, I can't think, I'm giving the class, I'm better than all of you, that somehow or other, Krishna's giving me the service, you're listening to me, you're so merciful, you're listening to me, encouraging me, it's great. But I'm not any better. That's how I approach my situation, sannyas, whatever, and it's gone that we're all, friends serving Krishna together. Of course, etiquette has to be there. Vaishnava etiquette is very important. But we're all together. We're all just one team trying to serve His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So none of us should think we're any better than the other. Prabhupada didn't think like that. I'm better than you. But Prabhupada followed etiquette. If a disciple didn't properly offer respect, if a disciple did hatchet obeisances, just going down up without saying the prayers, Prabhupada chastised them. Because Prabhupada understood the etiquette is very important for that devotee's spiritual advancement. But a pure devotee never thinks he's better, Gopinath, Mamana Vedana, Shuno, Vishaya, Durjana. Like Bhaktivedanta Thakur prays in his Gopinath prayer, I'm a materialistic rascal. Please take this, Durjana, I'm a bad person. Please take this person, this sinner weeping and weeping to your lotus feet. So we have to cultivate humility. But we become happy if we could do something for Krishna. So therefore, appreciation is important. We should appreciate devotees. Thank you for doing this. It really helped me in my Krishna consciousness. You understand the difference now? Prophet, adoration, distinction. People want to be adored. Sorry, ladies, but sometimes ladies want to get married because they want someone to adore them. It's true. You say, you're adorable. How do I look? Men usually don't do that. How do I look? That's ego. That's ego. So therefore, anyway, you find a great personality as Lord Vrishabhadev. He just looks voluntarily like hell so that everyone will make fun of him. Become detached. Not saying that everybody here should follow Jata Yoga and look like hell. So for preaching, we should look good. That's the point. For preaching Krishna consciousness, you shouldn't look sloppy. Like Prabhupada called people who had a beard during Chaturmasya, he called them Chatur Mess. Hopefully no one has a beard here. I got to be careful. Looking around the room, that disciple has a beard. Oh my God. Okay. Apologize. But we should look good. Clean shaven, nice, clean clothes and everything. But not want to be adored. There's a difference. And it's a challenge. Not wanting to be adored, not wanting attention. Simply wanting to give attention to Krishna. So, doesn't you understand prophet adoration distinction now? So appreciation, important. Very important in the Vaishnava line. Isn't it? Yeah, if we want to adore someone, we can give Krishna all the prophet adoration distinction. Krishna says, that Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, I'm there, everything comes from me. Ishavashamidam Sarvam Yakancha Jagajam Jagat Dena Jaktena Bunja. Everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. Isn't it? Krishna's the owner of everything. So it's all right for Krishna to have prophet adoration distinction. He's adorable. He has lotus feet. He has lotus eyes. Actually, the whole body, according to Queen Kunti. Lotuses, there's lotuses everywhere. And we do not have lotus feet. Disciple could think like that. That's their illusion. Anyway. No, it's etiquette. It's etiquette. We had, oh my God, don't want to tell this story. There was one disciple, not my disciple, someone else, The guru had to have his foot amputated, so he wanted to keep it. It's like, oh my God. What's happening to you? So anyway, don't be fanatic, but appreciate. And I love appreciation because it encourages me that I'm doing something for Prabhupada. It's just like, wow, I contributed to your Krishna consciousness. Wow, thank you. And that encourages me to do more of the same thing. But praise doesn't encourage me to do anything. It just doesn't, you're wonderful. What do I do with that? I want to become more wonderful. But you distributed 10 books. Great. Now I want to distribute 15. That's great. It encourages, it increases devotional service. That sort of appreciation. Okay, time for prasadam. Thank you all for joining us. 2 brahmacharis here. Yeah. A rare species. They're protected by the government. Isn't it? You have certain species. You have certain species here that are protected.
Yeah.
Like what? In Australia, it's like the koala bears or something like that.
Kiwi bird. Yeah, kiwi birds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kiwi birds are protected. So the brahmacharis are on that list too. Anyone who thinks of approaching them, they get put in jail. Kill them. Okay, thank you. All glories to Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Govardhan Puja ki jai. Tonight we'll worship Govardhan.